Is it possible to save the worst team in the country in 5 years? Keep in mind, they have one win in the last 2 seasons, and I think it's a good idea to try and get them a championship. It's so bad for Kent State. I make this video every year, and it's always them. But I'm ready for this challenge on the hardest difficulty, and my first decision is becoming a recruiter head coach. If I only have 5 seasons to get this team a national championship, I have to go down that path trying to recruit talent fast, and so far with the 3 stars we're going after, we seem to have a lead on all of them. Now, I won't focus in on too many, but Spencer Cager could be our starting quarterback, or Chance Ivory. This kid is field general, and that's a very good ability, but right now I'm trying to get Kent State caught up to where they're at in real life. They're 0-8. My only goal for season 1 is just get this team 1 win, but I never considered some of the prospects might lock us out because of how terrible we are. This is a gym running back I wanted to land. When you pair that with 15 players trying to transfer out, it's important that we sign Chance Ivory. And even though it looks like we're making signings and things are going all right, with only 350 hours to spend a week, it's definitely been a challenge. Just to keep it real, these 3 stars aren't winning us a championship. So I've decided I'm gonna go after the only 2 4-stars that are even open to coming to Kent State. I mean, they have zero reason to at all. Our school grades are as terrible as it gets for anybody. But to these kids, that does not matter at all. All they want to do is get on the field and have some minutes. Just to increase our chances of landing them, I am gonna go down the recruiter pathway and get to tier 3 for both the quarterback and the halfback position, since that's where the athlete is at. And pouring all we could into these players, 65 hours a week, we've started to make some progress. We've also gotten to the point that Kent State's at in real life, being 0-8, so we can finally hop into some games, and luckily for us, our first opponent is 0-8 Ohio. Now, if there's one thing the Golden Flashes have done correctly, it's all the options we're going to have in our uniforms, and our defense has also really showed out in this game so far, but offensively, that's been a different story. As we get farther into the 4th quarter, we have held Ohio to only 3 points, but that might not hold up for long, because they made a quarterback switch at halftime, and this player's starting to get some more reps. This is our best chance, though, of completing our goal of winning at least 1 game this season. So here on 3rd and goal, we have about 7 players in the box. I didn't think they'd dare hand it off, and it still works. I guess it's time that we get familiar with junior quarterback Tommy Ulatowski, though. He's going to help us hit this halfback screen so we're able to get near midfield. And I didn't really even want to mention him because my plan is to replace him at the end of this season going into next, because he just throws inaccurate passes. Like, we should have had a completion. I've had enough. I've scored 7 points in 3 quarters. And we're facing off against one of the other worst teams in the country. It is not over yet, though. Look at those stands. We don't have a single fan behind the end zone. It is only our band in attendance, and they are forced to be here, painfully sitting through this game against Ohio. If we have a good drive right here, though, that would change everything for our program. Thomas is able to help us a bit, and Kai Thomas might be our solution for getting our first win with Kent State. A lot of runs, and I mean a lot of runs later, we find ourselves inside the red zone, but at some point we should probably start passing as well, and that works. A touchdown here would win us this game. We're gonna take it in with Kai Thomas, and this is our moment right here. Kent State doesn't win stuff. I'll even be extra sure about the extra point. I'm not taking any chances. But you know what bugs me? There's still a little bit of time left on the clock where we could mess this up. No, we're not gonna mess this up. Watkins is gonna get the user lurk. That is that strong D right there that has led us to our first win with the Golden Flashes. And it wasn't Watkins' first interception of the day either. Now, just like you'd imagine, that incredible feat would impress both of these 4-star recruits, but I'm gonna do something stupid. I'm gonna schedule D'Angelo Yeldon for a visit against our rivals Akron. They're 5-4, but they're coming to our place, and I can play in up to 3 regular season games a year, so it's gotta be against a rival. I'm gonna skip this Miami, Ohio one, though. I just don't see how we'd come out on top. And having to sim most of the games will force me to build a good roster in this rebuild. We gave up 29 points in the 4th quarter. Anyway, we have made it to this game. It is time for the battle for the wagon wheel. And welcome to Dick's Stadium, where the number of fans in the crowd is still not that much. Now, here in the 3rd quarter, we do find ourselves trailing, but we're going for the end zone. And we actually caught the ball. My expectations was a clear draw. The only issue is now they're driving down the field. And remember, this is for us to sign a 4-star recruit. I think Watkins should have had the interception there, but at least we get a stop. They even missed it. And I am doing my best to try and milk this clock away, but the throw just went straight to their defensive back instead of our receiver. He didn't even put it near the sideline. This is exactly why we need the 4-star quarterback to commit, but he's not going to commit if we don't win this game. We don't play good coverage. And here we go. It's 3rd and 5. We have to wait for somebody to potentially get open, and I am not sure how we made that catch. We've certainly been exploring our options at quarterback. Having Devin Cargman out there is a little bit different than the last guy. We're able to complete this one inside the red zone. But the problem lies is not only do we have to score, but we also have have to be able to get a defensive stop, and look at that run. I'm almost positive Kai Thomas wants to transfer out, but I'm really hoping he doesn't. We could have bounced off there. But since we didn't, it is now 3rd and goal, and I think I'm just going to try to scramble in with Kargman. Again, this is the most important thing we could do, winning this game, because it would really set us up, at least at the quarterback position, and we stop him on 3rd down. Now, this punt is trying to pin us back pretty far. Did a good job of it, though. That speed boost from Etheridge was filthy. And I'm keeping an eye over there on Krishan McCray. He was able to beat the press. He's the best receiver we have on this team, but he is threatening to transfer out at the end of the year. He has done enough to set us up for this game-winning kick. I'm thankful for that. And there we have it. We have won the rivalry against Akron. We've already won more games with Kent State than we did last year. They went 1-11. And since we're so terrible, we can offer playing time to 4 stars with D'Angelo Yeldon committing. We might not get running back Tyree Sweat as well, but that's okay. As you can see, I've just gone after a lot of other 3 stars, mainly offensive linemen. And to end the year, I'm just going to sim against Buffalo. It doesn't really matter if we win or lose. To my surprise, though, after advancing the week, Tyree Sweat is also a golden flasher. And Coach Bordeaux's turned this entire thing around. We won 32-31 against Buffalo. It's actually a really good thing we weren't the worst team in our conference, which is already terrible. And hear me out on this. Even though these 2 coordinators have gotten us 3 wins, they're some of the worst ones I've ever seen. They don't give us like any benefits, so not only am I firing our offensive coordinator, but the DC's gone too. I want to start fresh here at Kent State, but the issue is every single coach is not a recruiter. They're either a motivator or a tactician. So I'm not sure who I'm going to hire yet. I want to look at these player dev traits though, because it's early National Signing Day. I love to see stars on some 3 stars like Kager. And he's one quarterback option we have, but that is not the 4-star. We do have star on Larry Tuggle as well. Chance Ivory is an impact. And finally, time for the moment of truth. How good are these 2 4-stars? We have elite dev on Tyree Sweat, the running back, and impact on Yeldon. That is some big news for Kent State football. I also found a defensive coordinator that has a little bit of a recruiting bonus. So I hired him alongside Leon Spears, the motivator from the first week. Even though things are looking positive though, we only have a few more years to get to this playoff level. And it's pretty much a guarantee we're about to lose like 10 players to the transfer portal. It's probably going to get a lot worse before it gets a lot better. Krishan McCray, the receiver that made the big catch for us, gone. Gavin Garcia played a lot, gone. And then even though none of these players were that talented, we lost like another 30 to graduation, so we legitimately just lost like 40 players. Maybe by letting them leave or graduate though, the trash was taking itself out. We are going to have some options in the transfer portal, but I only found a couple I think would even be useful for this team, so I'm mainly going after 3-star prospects other schools aren't pursuing. I'm also going to spend a lot of coach points getting to tier 3 for most of these defensive positions just to help us out, especially in the next recruiting cycle, and I just hope all this ends up making an actual difference. With all of our efforts, I want to say we got kind of lucky. I was able to sign 28 total players in this class, 26 of them are 3 stars, and we had a second elite dev with Christian Hepburn, the left tackle, being one. There are tons of bright spots, and we might have signed the best class we're going to have for the next few years. But of course, we still have to try and step it up. Now, Tyree Sweat, he's supposed to be a running back, but we could put him at other positions like wide receiver, and I think I will. This is before training results, but we desperately needed help at this position. And then Spencer Kager, we are probably going to make the star quarterback. It just doesn't make sense to put him anywhere else. But I have realized a pretty big issue. Even though our team overall is a little bit better, it's actually worse on paper than it was rating-wise last year, and we don't have a running back. Curtis Douglas is as good as it gets, but he's a 2-star. He wants to transfer out because of a deal breaker, and it makes me wonder if putting Tyree Sweat at wide receiver was worth it. But remember, he is elite dev, and his skill caps are also going to be almost non-existent, so he can get up to at least a 90 overall. Then you have our quarterback room. Tommy Ulatowski, I'm not going to play you. Instead, I think we have to go with D'Angelo Yeldon. I mean, this kid is going to have some skill caps, but not that many. And you might be wondering, won't Spencer Kager be better? He has a higher development trait. He's star dev. No, his skill caps are actually atrocious. Look at this. With all of that in mind, I know what we need to go after in this recruiting class. We actually have 27 team needs. And schedule-wise, even though both Utah and Florida State have been extremely disappointing in real life, I'm sure those non-conference games are not going to go well. We'll see about that though. It says that the Utes are only an 85. And there it is. We lost this one 34-6. Our starting quarterback D'Angelo Yeldon threw 2 picks, no touchdowns. He has a long way to go in his career, but I'm going to try to surround him with some good talent. As you can see, there are a couple 4-stars on our board. But with only 350 hours to spend, there's a lot of players I can't get. And I just have to be thankful I found this 3-star Jim from Florida that has 98 speed at receiver. Our next matchup's against an FCS school. This is another one I'm simming. We should win it. But I can already see from this screen that we're sitting at 0-2. Not many players want to transfer though, and we did win player of the week with a freshman. It's just made me realize if we want to come out on top of a lot of these games, I'm just going to have to hop in and play with Kent State. I think it's pretty crucial that we don't lose all our non-conference games, so we're playing against UConn. But even even with some of the new faces on the offense, I haven't been able to make a difference. For one, Tyree Sweat already broke his tailbone, so he's pretty much out the rest of the season. And two, D'Angelo Yeldon's been really inaccurate, so we're going for a jet touch pass on 4th down. I think we're going to be shooting for 3 and 9, just like we went last year. But we'll see. This is a big 2-point conversion right here, and they get the sack. They'd score the next points with a touchdown, putting us in a pretty tough spot. But here in the 4th quarter, we're not giving up yet. We're still fighting. The main issue is I just haven't been able to get them off of the field. And we could do it here on 3rd and 8, but they've decided to throw it instead of running it, and they threw it away. I thought with the defense that we had out there, they were just going to dot us up for a 1st down. But they didn't, which means if we drive down the field and get more than just a touchdown, we get the 2-point conversion too, we're going to tie it up. The issue is we have like no speed out there on the field, and I can't believe we completed that. Losing Krishan McCray to the transfer portal hurt us. Then we had Tyree Sweat get injured, but we can get it over that defender. And I'm the comeback king. Either I choke games by a lot of points, or I'm able to pull off some impressive comebacks. There's no in between on this channel. You don't know what you're going to get whenever you tune into a video. That's a good throw though. And you can tell that as a freshman, Yeldon's already getting more comfortable out there. We just have to make this catch. I am not able to challenge the play though, but that would change nothing. Bennett just didn't get a foot down. We did all of that to still lose to Connecticut in football. And keep in mind, it is Connecticut in football. It is embarrassing. We also have zero chance at hard selling any of these players just looking at the current school grades. So it's starting to look like I'm just destined for failure in this 5-year rebuild. I've never tried one this challenging before, but we just keep on losing. And it's probably really delusional to even go after these 4 stars. I doubt it's going to last the entire season. Nebraska was about to get this kid from us as well. But oddly enough, after scheduling a visit versus Northern Illinois, they stopped pursuing him. Since Miguel's coming on a visit though, we still have to win this game or else he's not committing. But first, I want to tell you about our quarterback's favorite way to stay hydrated, Circle, who is also the sponsor of today's video. This might go down as my favorite sponsor on the channel. Their innovative bottle allows you to flavor your water sip by sip, so that's great for somebody like me that films all day. So simply using this little lever, I'm able to go from drinking plain water to drinking one of their 140 flavors, and then back to drinking plain water in just a simple twist. On top of the flavor dial, their flavors have 0 calories and no sugar. So let me go ahead and take you all through the simple process that's made drinking water a lot more enjoyable for me. First things first, I just fill up my bottle with water. That's pretty easy. And now I gotta choose my flavor. I personally really like this blue raspberry one and this strawberry kiwi one. But I have noticed they have this one that's called Florida Man. I hope it shows up on the camera right here. It's like an orange citrus, so I'm gonna try it out. It really is so simple. All I have to do is take it out of the box, and then I'll just have to screw on the lid from here. And then there's this flavor on here that allows you to control how strong you want your flavor to be. I like to personally just set mine over here to number 5. Then to take a sip, all I have to do is take this cap off. I can actually snap it back too and make it flush with the little fin cartridge under here. And it's a little tricky to see it, but what it does is it snaps your cap in place, so whenever you're sipping on it, it doesn't get in your way. Just giving my honest review of the flavor, I'd say Florida Man tastes pretty good, like an 8 out of 10. And use the first link in my description or the QR code on screen to get up to 35% off on your first order. But now it's time to get back to the rest of this rebuild. One of the main reasons we're struggling is we don't have great receiving options, but to get great receiving options, we have to win this game. And if that linebacker doesn't play the seam up the middle, it would be beautiful right here. I'm throwing it immediately. It really hasn't been a bad first half, but that's mainly because of our defense. And I'm just thankful that the longer this game went on for, the better we continue to play. They don't get this 4th and 16. So this one's pretty much over, but if we pick it up, it's definitely over, and we do. I gotta say, the more D'Angelo Yeldon plays, the better he's getting. And it also helps that Dontrell Bennett's starting to break out. This kid's only a sophomore, but don't get too excited about him because he doesn't have that much more room to improve. The visit week did go to plan though, because we got 2 3-star gyms to commit, including wide receiver Miguel Oliveira. He is 98 speed. Remember that. That is what's going to be clutch. His other stuff can develop over time. He'll be like an instant 10 yards off of a drag. We're coming up on 4 straight road games though, and I can only hop into 1 more regular season game this year, so it probably won't be against any of them. There's still a chance we do well in sim though. Our transfer receiver won player of the week, and both of the battles for the 4-star recruits we're going after are coming down to the wire. I really wasn't expecting to get either of them, but Kevin Pleasance has chosen us, so that's a huge win in my books, but we're probably gonna lose on Jay Thrasher. I'm perfectly okay with us not getting him though, because of how well we have played in this season. I'm not sure how we've been able to win all these games, but it's got to be our quarterback, and our last one on the road for a bit is against Eastern Michigan. Now you might be thinking that should be an easy win too, right? No, you're incorrect. We somehow lost by 6. I guess it is on the road. We were due to lose, but Yeldon did throw a pick as well. I can see the reasons we fell, just like I know the reasons we lost Jay Thrasher, but we have other 3-stars that we're still going to be able to pull in. And going into these final few weeks of the season, we're in the running to make it to the MAC championship. Now, in order to do so, we have 3 games we need to win. I want to play against our rivals Bowling Green, but I should probably play Central Michigan since that's first spot in it. But beating Bowling Green green would get us closer to being able to unlock this architect tree, and I think it's going to be big. We have to win 4 rivalry games. That is one of them. I want to get to tier 2 on a lot of these positions. It gives you a chance to increase a random skill cap every time you level up. And for a lot of our 3-star prospects like Jalen Bryant, the wide receiver, he's going to be capped out unless we have that available. The only reason I am going to sim this game instead of playing it though is because we don't need it right now. It would just be nice to have in the future, and we dominated them anyway. I hope I didn't lose you there. It should make sense. Now we get to play against Central Michigan. And this is big right here. If we win this game, I think we're in the MAC Conference Championship no matter what. That's a very quick turnaround, but with a 4-star quarterback in this conference, it kind of makes sense. We're playing in the snow. And snow matches feel so rare in this game that I'm trying to cherish the moment, but I've thrown an interception straight to them. We're already down by 14. And there's nobody around that's even going to be able to catch this kid. Now, was that my best read of all time? Absolutely not, but we've had basically nothing open. And our defense hasn't played as good as it normally does. We really need to get a stop here in the red zone. They just threw it away. And to start the 4th quarter, they're scoring more points. Of course, they're going to hit the field goal. I mean, we have like no receivers to throw to. Our best one's injured. And I honestly think that if Sweat was healthy, we would be having a completely different season. Instead, I am just sending it, hoping for the best. And there it is. You catch a little bit of momentum, you catch a spark, and you can still come back. I've run this play on a 2-point conversion before. I actually know what to look for. This time around, it's going to be there. But we have to get this football back. We have a chance to still come back in this game if we do, and they're just going to go over to the flat. The pressure's not really on either because it still just feels almost impossible. Those were some good blocks there. I'm spinning to get some more. But with one of our linemen missing his assignment, I feel like that's the reason we weren't able to get a touchdown out of it. We could have one right here. I saw that they pressed to the inside. They let us try to beat them deep. And Rodney Gallagher III's been a great transfer for us. The jet touch pass for this 2-point conversion gets in. Talk about a really good chance at coming back still. It can happen. They could have fumbled, and I really don't know how they hung on to the ball right there. I'm in the gap. But this is a hard spot to be in on 3rd and 5. I'm not sure if they're running or passing. I wasn't able to pass commit, and there we go. Normally, they would probably throw it there, so I am lucky that I didn't. And here we go. We are 8 points away from sending this one to overtime, though. We have to drive it all the way down the field still. They keep on pressing Gallagher III, though, over there on that left side, like they didn't learn their lesson the first time around. And all I can say is this cannot end like the UConn game. If we're able to come back, we have to make sure that we also get the 2-point conversion. I even started chewing the clock. I don't want them to have any chance of responding. And can you not audible out of hurry up mode now after this update? It's just not letting me audible. We got to snap a play real quick though. Come on. Come on, get the ball off. Let's see if our slant gets open, and we'll take it. Once again, it is our transfer receiver coming up clutch, and I want to give him the jet touch pass. It is on him if we are able to go to overtime or not, though the blocks weren't good. I just sweated a 22-point comeback to just fail. I should have passed, and it was just a waste of a performance because I continue to learn that jet touch passes don't work as good anymore. That really hurts right there. If Tyree Sweat was healthy, I doubt it would have even been close. And up until now, we've had no issue signing any other 3-star just by sending the house until Kentucky comes into the picture for this kid. I don't know why they want him so bad, but I'm just frustrated because we might not make a bowl game either. And I've already played 3 regular season games this year, so I can't hop into our final one against Buffalo. I have to say though, after a terrible start to the season, we came out in our final game. We beat the Bulls 20-17. And we might not be in the MAC Conference Championship, but we are bowl eligible. This is a huge deal for us. Right now we have like no team prestige. But I think if we can beat Texas State, that would change everything. We average 10 points per game less than them, but we're the same overall. Either way, it's been a good season. D'Angelo Yeldon had some solid stats if you just act like the interceptions don't exist. And Curtis Douglas still wants to leave us. He says our coach prestige isn't good enough. We'll see if he actually follows through or not though. Because of all the injuries we had at wide receiver, there's nobody that was just the top dog. But if Miguel has a good dev trait, I'm okay with him sliding in as that. He's star with 98 speed. That is what you want to see. Kevin Peasant's is only impact. And then for some of the rest of these guys, they're going to be normal dev. I do see a star on there, but I doubt we're going to have elites like last season. We've had so few hours, I can't scout players before I put hours on them. And I wish I could say this bowl game went better, but we couldn't score. That really just solidifies if the only games we can win are in conference play, the MAC deserves to be the worst conference. With that in mind though, it's going to make it very challenging for us to ever even earn a playoff spot. And there it is. Curtis Douglas thinks we're just going to let him leave. We have a few persuasions left. He has not been persuaded. At least we got our right outside linebacker to stay. This quarterback, I don't even care for. On top of those departures, we did have quite a few seniors that started for us, but we have other players we're developing that should be able to replace them. Ali Fisher follows me on Instagram, and I wish I would have realized that to use him more. He was a part of the video where college athletes built my team, and he was a student athlete saying that he just got out of class. It's too bad I always feel like I'm stuck rebuilding Kent State. Anyway, we have the transfer portal coming up. I'll see if I find anything in here that could really help us, and if I had the hours to, I'd definitely go after more of them, but for now, these are the 5 transfers I'm pursuing. Now, because I've gone through quite a few transfer portal periods on this game, we did lose that one battle, but besides that, we signed all these players, including a lot more transfers than I thought I was going to get. And of course, that's going to lead to there being some stars mixed in there I wasn't expecting. But more importantly, we signed a top 40 class. It wasn't at 31 like last season, but that's still really good. There was only one difference between the two classes. We had one 4-star instead of 2 of them, but some of these transfers are rated higher than the 4-star Kevin Pleasance. And I am now learning I've made a big mistake. All the sophomore transfers I went after are actually going to be redshirt juniors. I thought they'd be around by season number 5, but they're not, and then the 3 stars we got's overalls aren't the best. Another interesting thing about transfers is training results doesn't apply to them that first year they transfer in, so they're not going to jump up in overall much. But at the end of the day, after encouraging quite a few players that would have never seen the field to transfer, we have an 84 overall roster. We should do better even with this tough non-conference schedule than we did last year. And I'm excited for the development of D'Angelo Yeldon. He didn't jump up that much in the offseason, but his throw power is maxed. His accuracy still has room to grow. And I've just kind of accepted that this class is probably the last class where a lot of the players I recruit will still have a chance at starting by year 5, where we try to make a run for a championship. That's why I've decided to go after players like Jeremy Wayne, Seth Stat. I just have to hope that they actually commit. But even though we went 6 and 7, we still only have 350 hours to spend. It's actually really confusing how our team prestige didn't raise at all. But all I know is this season has to start better than last year, and it's opening up with an FCS school. As you can see by our record, we came out on top. We only have one player that would even consider leaving us. And this is the best stat line we have seen out of D'Angelo Yeldon. I'm just hoping that we can also take down Kennesaw State, because after that, we play at Ohio State, at number 5 Clemson. It's another one I'm simming because I really just want to focus on our MAC conference games. And since we have 65 coach points to spend, I think we're going to open up the motivator tab, and this is where I'm going to go all the way down to tier 3 just so we have better development on our quarterback. I've also spent 10 points purchasing the tactician tree because I think it's very crucial that our offensive line is as good as possible for him. We have that maxed out, and also if we ever want to go down the architect one, all we have to do now is win one more rivalry. Everything probably seems like it's going pretty well too, because 5-star Jeremy Wayne committed to Kent State. But look at this, we now have 11 more players that are threatening to leave us. We also lost to Kennesaw State and obviously dropped the next 2 on our schedule, so we're now left with a 1-3 team going into conference play, and I almost want to hop into this one against Western Michigan. Due to their overall though, I didn't, and Tyree Sweat went for 4 touchdowns. It's such a good thing that he's healthy. Not only did we win, but we won 45-14, and I want this to be a trend that continues, but Buffalo's only a 76. I think I'm still going to play them though because it's on the road, and a lot of these MAC schools overalls are brought down by the fact that they have 1 and 2 stars on their team. If you didn't know, having bad overall players at the bottom of your roster brings down your overall, so if we cut Faulkner, we'd probably go up to like an 85. And all these teams that we're playing sign a lot of 2 stars every season, even if the top of their roster is just as good as ours. That pretty much just means looking at team overall, the rest of this video is pretty pointless. That's why as we approach this 4th quarter, I am not surprised that we're losing this game, though I'm hoping our crossing route can get open for a touchdown. And D'Angelo Yeldon's wear and tear is fully gone. He is not able to scramble very well, though we're able to hit this crossing route for 6. It is going to be a very long 4th quarter, especially since Buffalo scored again, but we are not out of this game yet until I've thrown a pick straight to him. Good job. Good job with that read. At this rate, you're probably just wondering why I don't sim the important games, because I can't clutch up, but you just got to give me another chance. This one is not over yet. On 3rd down, hitting this corner route should get us inside the red zone, and I'm kind of hoping for man-to-man coverage here, hoping that we also would beat it, which we did. Now the pressure is on because we're going to have to be able to stop them. I clicked off to make the tackle, and I almost feel like we just don't have enough people down there, though they passed it. The computer is so weird sometimes with the things that they'll do, though it is 3rd and long, and all we have to do is clamp up. This is why you just have to trust the process. I think Sweat is going to get open. They're running man-to-man coverage, and their leverage did not look good right there. We have a 94 speedster that can go for 6. We're going to have to lean on our defense. It's not a win yet, but I have learned that we can't do jet touch passes here. I threw a pick, and there is way too much time for the Bulls to get into field goal range versus us, which is very nerve-wracking. I'm really not a fan of the defense we have out there on the field either, though we have a chance at getting a sack. And that was it right there. They were able to get the throwaway. Now it's third down, and they're testing the user. Why would you do that? Williams is going to come up clutch. We're just one first down away from this one being all over, but I am a little nervous. They have us on a 3rd and 12 right here, and I just have to trust that we are going to have our best receiver getting open. Sweat has it. It's finally happened. I have a comeback win with Kent State, and D'Angelo Yeldon's just going to keep on getting better. There's still a lot of our defenders that are threatening to transfer, though, and that bugs me. Also, I should point out we have signed a couple 3-star gyms at tight end. Ohio State got this receiver, and I'm still all in on another tight end, but whether or not we get him all comes down to if we beat Toledo at home. Since they're 0-3 in conference play, though, I don't want to waste a game facing them, because right now I'm trying to compete for a spot in the MAC championship. If 4-star Seth Stats committed to Kent State, we definitely got the win. And right now, the other 2 games I'm going to play are against Miami, Ohio. They're 3-0 in conference play, and then either at Central Michigan or at Northern Illinois. It'll all just depend on how the season shapes out, but this is going to be a big one for us. And if you're wondering who else I'm going after getting Jeremy Wayne and Seth Stat, the rest of my board is basically just a bunch of offensive linemen. At the moment, we have almost no depth at that position, and it would be nice if we didn't have to clutch up so many games. With 3 minutes left in this one, we're trailing by 6. We have to pick up this 3rd down, and they left Masterud wide open. It was a very bold move, but I am thankful for it, and now I'm going to try and hit our crossing route. Can we come back to that? You can also stop writing your comment right now. I have noticed that Chance Ivory is out there on the field instead. He is able to also scramble, which is nice. But earlier in the game, we lost our starting quarterback, D'Angelo Yeldon, to a dislocated knee, and he's out for 2 weeks. As you can imagine, that makes simming our upcoming matchups extremely nerve-wracking, and I might just let our freshman running back, Pleasance, go to work on this 3rd down. It is a lot easier than completing a deep pass, but he isn't getting far enough. You know what, though? I like the box we're going against. I'm going to do a direct snap to him, and he's going to take it up the middle, celebrating in. With an extra point, we're going to have a 1-point lead, and I have learned my lesson in the past. I am not going to sim this. The day we have fans behind the end zone is going to be a big day for this program. At the moment, we're just trying to get a stop, and here we go. It is now 3rd and 7. I feel like they're going to have that open late, and I just can't get over to it. That is not good news for this team. They are extremely close to being in field goal range. I just have to hope that they throw it straight to us. I mean, they have way too much time back there, and he threw it away. Here we go. It's 3rd and 4. I've probably seen the play that they're going to put out there, and I think they just had a lineman get in the way of that pass, and now they're not blocking. Once again, all we need is 1 first down, and this game's over. Looks like Pleasance is going to get that plus more. So there you have it. We are still undefeated in MAC conference play. At least for this game at Ohio, though, we're not going to have our starting quarterback, and I can't even act surprised that we lost this one. It was only by 2. Kevin Pleasance definitely carried the offense, though Chance Ivory didn't play that bad. It was just our defense giving up 36. It was a valid 36, though. It was an overtime game. We need to win this rivalry, and theoretically we should, since D'Angelo is no longer on the injury report. Well, we had D'Angelo Yeldon back. He threw for 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, so what do you all think the result was? We lost by 17. This is a disaster. We're choking away any chance we have at making the conference championship. But once again, it is us and Central Michigan, and if we can win this time, we're going to probably be in it. Realistically, though, how do you think that's going? With a minute left, we're losing this game by too much to even come back at this point. I've thrown picks. There's another interception. They just deserve to win. They're better than us. I can't fix the Golden Flashes. We're going to go into year 4 with no conference success. And unless we win this game right here, it's another season that we're not winning a bowl. Now, I want to say there is still a slight chance we make the conference championship, but we need more than just getting commits to go our way. It would have involved us beating NIU, but our defense has let us down again, giving up 41 points. I mean, what else can Yeldon do for us? When you compare these stats to what he did as a freshman, he had an incredible season. He cut back on the turnovers, and we were even able to run the ball more successfully. Now, it does help he had Tyree Sweat to be a consistent target to throw to, 15 receiving touchdowns. But the truth is, everything just collapsed for us. We did make some 3-star signings, but we lost this tackle to Central Michigan. This one could go to Bowling Green. And it's not like I can even attempt to try and hard sell him. I also have half of our starting defense threatening to transfer, but maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe some of these dev traits of the players I've recruited without scouting most of them will actually be good. We have star on a running back. We needed that. Just for backup purposes only, and we also have star on a tight end. On the 4-star, he is impact, and the 5-star is impact. He still shouldn't have too many skill caps, but I see that as very disappointing, and I didn't even know it was possible possible to be a half-star prestige on this game, but that's where we're at. I'm gonna let all these juniors leave us. I'm gonna try to convince these kids to come back. And let's just say, of the 4 persuasions I attempted, only 1 player stayed. We're kinda lucky though, because we only lost 3 players to graduation. I forgot to recruit a punter and a kicker, which is something I can take care of in the transfer portal period. We have 1 option on this list of 5 players that are interested I even like. I'm still so shook up by that half-star prestige for a program. I feel like I've just failed Kent State. But I don't want to give up yet. We still have 2 seasons where we could win it all. I truly believe we just got a little bit unlucky with that last class. Looking through some of the players we've brought in, again, the dev traits are not going to pop out at all. But because we signed 1 5-star recruit, this one's ranked higher than the class we had last season. It's also 3 straight seasons being the best at recruiting in the MAC. That has got to mean something. And it is time for the moment of truth. How good is this roster we've put together? Going into season 4, we have some good players bringing it up to an 85 overall. But I'm not seeing huge jumps from D'Angelo Yeldon, and that concerns me. It almost defeats the purpose of even having motivator for the quarterback position. I'm gonna wait on the architect tree. And if that doesn't unlock, I could also always pour some of our coach points into tactician. Our foundation's pretty much all there though, so for recruiting, I'm only gonna go after 4 stars or better this season. And even if that results in none of these players committing, I don't think we're gonna be in trouble. What it's all gonna come down to is how well our players develop. We have lucked out with this non-conference schedule though. It looks so much easier than previous years. And since we're down to only 300 hours a week on recruiting, that means we can only target 4 prospects at once. By this point, I didn't think we'd still be struggling much. I mean, we could lose to Jacksonville State. It'll really just depend how well Tyree Sweat can continue to carry this offense. He's almost maxed out his stats as well. We're about to find out if winning it all with Kent State in the next 2 seasons is possible. The only thing that is going well in our favor this year is our schedule. It does look like it's cake. Fortunately for us, even though Yeldon only threw for 2 touchdowns in the first game of the season, we did start with a win. And to my surprise, our defense looks much improved. That's showing Jacksonville State's overall. I don't know how that's a bug in the game, but South Alabama's an 84. You know how I know they're legit as well? They have a senior quarterback that's a 90 overall. Their roster looks very similar to ours, which is why I'm not surprised that we lost, but we lost by 18. I should have never said our defense was looking good. We need to make sure that we land at least a couple of these 4 stars. That could boost it up. And I might regret this down the line, but even though my plan was to go down the architect tree, I think I'm gonna spend a lot of these points in tactician. With 8 different upgrades, our defense is gonna be even better. So if we can't take down FCS West, I'm gonna be extremely disappointed. That's what I'm talking about right there though, a 31-point win. Now we're gonna start conference play. Once again, we have a slate of like 4 or 5 road games in a row, which means I should probably play some of those and just sim against Northern Illinois. I'm also very proud that we're somehow still in the lead for all these players, even though our school grades are terrible, though I think Maryland's about to catch us on a couple. And look at that, Sean Martin's won player of the week for us. That was paired with a 10-point win over Northern Illinois, but D'Angelo Yeldon has been a little bit more disappointing this season than last year, and now we have to play at Toledo. Even though they've already lost 1 conference game, I think this is one I want to hop into, because if their roster is going to be an 82 overall with a bunch of bad players on it, it's probably more like an 85-86. This is a big season for us right here. We cannot drop a game if we want to make the conference championship. And just based off of the way we have played versus Toledo, I don't think they're the team taking us down. After knocking out the ball in the rain though, and then almost sacking us on 3rd down, we are going to have to kick a field goal. We're up by 13. And I'm not worried at all, because it has been our defense that's just been on another level throughout this entire game. They're trying to beat us deep. But did they really think they were about to outthrow us right there? We have a 98 speed corner on one side of the ball. I'm not sure if this is him. But either way, that was never going to go in their favor. And on this 3rd and 9, Pleasance has so much space out here. You know what? We're going to go for the hurdle. He fumbled it. Why would I do that? I mean, it's not going to matter, because the longer this game goes on for us, the better it gets. I didn't even take the right angle. But most of the credit really goes to our defense, and they're still failing to score, though they're trying to run in right here. And how did I miss? I've been the one doing all the comebacking. I can't choke this now. And that's not going to happen. On 3rd and 1, all we have to do is pick it up, and we do. I'm not satisfied yet, though. We started last year pretty strong as well. And if an injury or 2 happens, everything can go downhill. We already didn't have Ray Burr in that game because he has a broken toe, and one of our tackles is also out. And I do find it interesting how Kevin Pleasance didn't improve at all in the offseason, and this guy jumped up to an 86. I don't think Ray's the better player, especially since he's a receiving back, but I do have him set to be our starter. And look at that. We've been able to sign one of the 4-star commits. With his 97 speed. I'd argue he's the best of the four as well, though we could still get a couple others. This receiver's going to go to Maryland. And the road games are going to continue, but I can't hop into every single one. Luckily, I can see that our championship contenders continue to go up, but Ryan Isaac did make it official, and both of these are so tight that if we hit the finish line at the same time, they're not going to choose Kent State. Normally, they'd make that decision based off team prestige. Ours is still half a star. And this is that rivalry game that we really need to win so we get our 4th rivalry win, which I know had to have happened because the architect tree's now been unlocked. I might still use a bit of it if we get enough coach points. We barely beat Ball State. I didn't realize that, though. Akron got destroyed. Now Eastern Michigan's coming up, and it seems like they're one of the only main threats that could keep us out of making the MAC championship. I'm also sad to say that the strong safety chose Michigan State, though we did get Demarius Eddy, and it is time to take this Golden Flashes team over to the factory. If you didn't know, we're going to be playing on a gray field. It's a unique one, and I'm enjoying it so far. We have a 10-point lead. We're looking to extend it right here, hitting the freshman stat. He dances his way in, or at least a little bit of a strut. Those fans don't appreciate it. There's nothing they can really do about it, though. Now they're running press man to man. You can't stop a corner route, because I would say that's the best receiver in our conference. Between Tyree Sweat and everybody else playing out of their minds, this is my favorite result of this entire rebuild. And D'Angelo Yeldon threw for 7 touchdowns. With our team performing this well, we're pretty hot going into the Wake Forest one, and our defensive tackle had 4 sacks versus them. We're finally hitting the stride that we were looking for. We can still hop into one game this season, and all of them are against weaker opponents. So I'm just gonna sim until we seem to struggle. At the moment, I think we're locked in for the conference championship. And there's still another 4 4-star recruits that we could potentially add on to this class. Now, Bowling Green's our other rivals in conference play, but they're 3-6 this season. They are an 80 overall, which I said meant nothing for a reason. I don't know why I still check it. It's just a habit, but we did take them down. Now, Central Michigan has been known to give us issues in the past. So now that Kent State is finally thriving, this is the team we have to face. It has been a much different game than the one that we just played as well against Eastern Michigan. We have not scored that many points. And even though we're 9-1, those stands behind our stadium are still not full. We're not getting the 3rd down. So I don't know what we have to do to get more people out to our games, but if we hit this field goal, we're up by 4. Like expected, of course, if you're in a situation like this, your defense has played pretty well. I couldn't get over to that ball, though. So we'll see what happens on 4th and 4. I just have to make sure none of these drags get open, and we're going to hit them short. That is a huge stop right there. We've pretty much just sealed our win. Our defense has been incredible, but I don't love that we can't fully run out the clock. There is also 15-mile-per-hour winds. That could have bended out, and I never trust the computer to close out a game, even if it's simming for one play. I've seen some dumb stuff happen, though if they got this ball all the way to the end zone, that would have been extremely impressive. It took us a while, but we have beaten Central Michigan, and we've also impressed another 4-star recruit. All we have to do now is close out the season with a win against 76 overall Buffalo, and Tyree Sweat ended up going for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. There's what we've been waiting for, a spot in the conference championship. But keep in mind, Ball State might be tough. We only beat them by 1 point in sim, and Buffalo kept it really close. There's no guarantees that we're going to just keep on picking up wins, but if we can come out on top in the conference championship, a playoff spot could be on the line, though both Tulane, Middle Tennessee State, and South Alabama are all small schools ranked above us. Just looking at all these conference championship games, I don't see how we'd be a top 5 highest seed, but I guess we just have to hope that it all plays out in our favor. Before we can even dream about being a playoff team, though, we have to take care of business here. And let's just say this game wasn't always going so well for us. We have scored 24 straight points against Ball State, but they're not done. Their offense just responded back to that touchdown very well. We have to catch this football, and since we didn't, there's the pressure that they could also go on a little bit of a run, but they have to throw it away on 3rd down. It's been a back and forth game. We're just going to hand this one off to Pleasance for the first, but after running the ball again, there was a holding call, which is going to make it 1st and 20. All I want is for this game to be over, for us to have our shot at making the playoffs, though we're in a tough spot here on 2nd and 19. I doubt we're going to get anything. And on 3rd and 19, I might just throw a back shoulder throw, go for the aggressive catch, and hope we bring it in. That was a play from Tyree Sweat right there. I saw the man-to-man coverage. We were able to abuse it, and now we've just been running the football versus them. So I think we're in a spot where we can run out basically the rest of the clock, but if the touchdown's there, I have to take it. Now, will I regret that decision? Potentially. They have been driving down the field versus us, and our zone can't get over there, but our hands team should be able to seal the conference championship right here, and that's what we've done. This season has been an incredible turnaround for us compared to the first 3, and with everybody staying healthy most of the season, it all finally went our way. This isn't the first MAC championship we should win either. If we don't get it next season, I'll be very disappointed. And with all the momentum we have, we're becoming an attractive spot for 4 stars. We'd pick up another free safety safety the next week, and then this tight end as well. This is about to be our moment of truth too, because with the Heisman winner popping up, we're about to find out if we made it into the playoffs or if we made a bowl game. We're playing Arkansas State. That's pretty disappointing, especially since there are some smaller schools ranked above us, but they won their conference championship with better records, or maybe not in Middle Tennessee State's case. In fact, they don't even have a star next to their name, so they got an at-large bid. And our only loss this season came to 13-0 South Alabama. I feel like we've been snubbed, but I can at least appreciate all these 4-star prospects. We have star dev, we have an elite dev, so those are things that I like to see. But in all honesty, they're not even going to have time to develop because we only have one more season left in this rebuild, and I guess we'll see if we can beat Arkansas State. You know, there's just something that's sweet about going out and dominating versus a team that is actually pretty solid. Now, you might be wondering, how is this domination? You only have an 11-point lead. But hear me out. It was 24-0 before this fourth quarter where they've tried to come back, and they legitimately might be able to still pull it off. I got bored and just started throwing up deep throws trying to test their defense. At least we recovered this. So Yeldon can take a knee, and we're ending the year 13-1. Winning the bowl, again, doesn't mean too much to us, especially since I'm not sure we were even ready to be a playoff team, but we have to get there next year, and if D'Angelo Yeldon can replicate this stat line, I don't see how we wouldn't. I mean, he threw the ball for a ton of yards. We didn't run it necessarily well. And Tyree Sweat even took a step back, but that's because JJ Etheridge had his best season ever. That's exciting to see because he'll be back for another season. He's our 4th best wide receiver by ratings, but he outperformed both of these players. But we have a bigger issue. Tyree Sweat's declared for the NFL draft early. His persuasion chance at coming back is not great, but he does. That is massive right there. We also got this free safety to stay, though all of these players to graduation are gone. And most of them were transfers I brought in, so I might look through this portal and see if there's anybody else we could add to our team. We actually have some solid options. Even the number 6 transfer in the country wants to come to our school, a quarterback, though this would be full-on betrayal to ours. And I am thankful our team prestige went from half a star to 2.5 stars in just one season. That's made it possible for us to go after a lot more prospects than normal at once. We have 750 hours to spend, but that's never a guarantee that you're going to get every prospect. I will say though, based off player overall, there could be some new starters on this team. And I think I cleaned up very nicely with this recruiting class, mainly because of how well we did in the transfer portal. That's why I'm patient with it. We never got a better recruiting class ranking wise than the one that we did in year 1, but this is the most 4-stars we've ever had. And our team quality's looking pretty good before training results, though Kenyon is 1 overall worse than D'Angelo. Now, before we get to training results, I did one more thing. I maxed out our linebackers tactician tree. And the reason for that is I want our defense to be as good as possible. Before encouraging players to transfer, we're a 90 overall. We have D'Angelo Yeldon up to a 97. And all it took for him to actually fill up those skill caps was a transfer quarterback coming in, threatening his job. His accuracies look incredible. But most of those were already filled. I think mainly what raised his overall was his awareness going up. I told you all he was going to be a key piece for this team, and now I can get rid of the worst overall players to help our overall go up. As an official 91 overall team, we're ready for season 5. They have Kentucky on our non-conference schedule. We must play them in 5 years, but everything else looks pretty simple. Of course, I no longer have to worry about recruiting because this is the final season, and we're going to find out if I could actually turn around the worst team in the country in just 5 years. It's been an interesting ride, but I have noticed that Ray Bird has an injured icon next to his name. So I'm not sure what happened to him, but apparently he tore his Achilles and he's still out for 36 more weeks. Not exactly the best start to season number 5, but we have Tyree Sweat at wide receiver still, of course, and he never fully maxed out. That's why I ended up avoiding this architect tree. It seemed like our best players still had more room for improvement, and our coordinators filled in pretty nicely. It's time for the moment of truth, though. Our first game, I'm going to sim this, and then we'll start playing against Kentucky. Well, it wasn't the best offensive performance from D'Angelo Yeldon, but our defense showed up. We won by 17. And my Wildcats better not ruin this undefeated season that we're going for. It's on the road, but they're an 82. Assuming we take them down, though, I'm pretty sure we can just run through the rest of our schedule. And we really did luck out by getting D'Angelo Yeldon in year 1, especially since his skill caps were so good. Seth Stats had another year development, so it was nice to see him get open right there. And our offense might just be way too good at the moment. I'm going to go for the wheel route over the Pleasants, and he is going to get that speed. By the end of this game, it's not even a contest. We're winning this one 38-3. And I just can't imagine any MAC school beating this roster. It's pretty difficult to even predict which games I need to hop into. I think we're going to choose 2 of them on the road in conference play. But all it takes is one fluky loss during sim, and then I'm going to be frustrated. I have decided, though, I'm going to sim to the first college football playoff poll. And it took us through a couple more games than I thought it would. I wanted to play that one against Miami, Ohio on the road, but we won 31-0. Of the 4 teams left on our schedule, I guess Eastern Michigan's the toughest toughest one. But we've started this season dominating, and we just have to finish it the same way. Being the number 11 team in the country, we actually have a lot of pressure on us, because we all know that the committee's looking for any reason to not put us into the playoffs, which is why we have got to play better than this. And I'm just thankful that's how we ended the first half. Throughout this entire game, though, I don't like how close they've been able to keep it. I threw that way too late. And even with just a few minutes left, they are not out of this one yet. Please, please hook in. That was a close call right there. And last season, whenever we played Eastern Michigan, we destroyed them. So I'm not sure what's happening this time around, but we've gotten beat with the press and they've gotten in. It's ugly it's gotten to this point, but they're gonna try to bring guys down to stop us from running the football. So I figure we might as well see if Tyree Sweat can just outrun them. And I should have used that to our advantage earlier on in this game. I've barely touched it, but they're probably gonna kick a field goal. And I really don't know what the computer's doing. They're going for it on 4th and 8 instead. They've thrown it at our defensive back, and Baguette gets the interception. You know what? We're going for the return too. I didn't even see that guy right there. Either way, of course we're gonna stay undefeated. And I can still choose one of these final games to hop into. With our track record and our number 9 ranking though, I don't see why I would. And I was not expecting to see Jaden Moore go for 260 receiving yards. He's our 5th wide receiver on the depth chart, so I don't know why he was out there. It's not like we have any injuries to that position. But a win over Ball State is gonna drop us below UMass, who just beat Pitt. The MAC conference has zero respect at the moment. We're about to play Bowling Green. And I think I want to hop into this one. It could be a trap game. We're on the road at our rivals, though they've been terrible. But I didn't even realize this. As the season's gone on, we've gotten up to a 93. I know we've been playing well. We took that same level of play to this game against Bowling Green, and we're going to continue to find Tyree Sweat for big plays right here. We're blowing them out. But the development's still been far better than I ever expected. And with that win, we are so close to finishing the regular season undefeated. The Zips are the last team in our way. They're only a 77. But I'm starting to wonder if we're going to fall out of the top 12. What is happening? Why is 10-2 Wyoming ranked above us? All I'm saying is we better not get snubbed out of the playoffs. And of course, if we're ranked number 10 now, we took down Akron by a lot. That result in being 12-0 seems to have stabilized our ranking a little bit, but I'm shocked at how many small schools are surrounding us and also above us. We cannot lose the conference championship. Just like last season, this is one of the weirdest dynasties I've ever seen play out. I don't think this many teams have ever been ranked during conference championship week. And imagine if all 5 years went to waste because we couldn't take down Toledo. I feel like it would be very challenging to choke with a team as good as ours. But there have been some tighter games on our schedule, like this one right here, which has me worried for the playoffs. There is no reason we should have just taken a 4-point lead on Toledo. But they've been able to just run the ball versus us. They got some really good blocks. And it's really on our defense to get them off the field here, though they decided to throw it instead of running. It's all going to come down to 4 plays inside the red zone. They're able to take their flat for almost nothing. And they've audibled down into a running formation, but again, they're throwing it and we have to make this tackle. I am nervous right now. 3rd and goal. We can't give up anything stupid. And that was our moment. That was such a clutch tackle. I have a quarterback spy out there, though I'm stuck, and with that spy, we should be able to hold him short. I learned my lesson, and Toledo thinks we're stupid. They're going to run commit because they want to try and get a safety. So we're able to toast them with our best receiver by like 20 yards. I mean, this is just ridiculous. We could also just end it right here with another stop, though they are able to get the first. And after getting a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, it all comes down to this onside kick right here, which we're going to recover. That's how you close out a game. I'm not proud that it was that tight, but we have showed that we can fight through those moments. And winning back-to-back conference championships is a pretty big deal. We also keep on leveling up, which means I can spend some more of these coach points in the tactician tree. And D'Angelo Yeldon ended up only throwing 2 interceptions the entire season, not as many passing touchdowns as last year, but we had some big leads. He is a deal breaker for playing time, so I'm not sure how that works, but we also ran the ball a bit more, with Kevin Pleasance getting 15 touchdowns. Tyree Sweat was also our number 1 receiver, though our top 3 were all pretty close in numbers. But I think in the playoffs, Miguel could be a shocker. He's supposed to be in the slot for us, and remember, this is the kid that was a gym with 98 speed. It would have been pretty cool to even be in the Heisman running, but that did not happen. We might have some award winners, and that scared me for a second that we didn't have a playoff match pop up, but it's because we have a first round bye. In the end, the rankings kind of fixed themselves. Both Wyoming and South Alabama dropped below us because they had 2 losses. I don't know why they were ever ranked above us. And what happened to college football this season? You got like 8-5, 7-5 teams getting ranked in the top 25. I'm so confused, but it looks like most of the SEC just kept on beating up on each other. And the same was true in the Big Ten. They had their top 2 teams, but outside of that, that, everybody else was just average. After advancing the week though, it looks like we're playing Washington in the quarterfinals, and they beat Oregon. It is always the Huskies that seem to have the Ducks number. The 8 teams that are remaining in this bracket are actually terrible though. We average more points per game than them, that's a good sign, but that doesn't guarantee us the win over them. We still have to make sure we play super well. With our first drive, I think we're going to get points out of it no matter what, but they have us on a 3rd and 19 that we're still converting, or at least I thought we got there. They're marking it as a 4th and 1, so I'm going for it. I'm not going to take that. We're going to get the touchdown. Having a strong start is very important. Looking at the coverage that they're going with right here, our tight end is going to get open around the 40, but I don't love how they continue to get us in these 3rd and long situations. Is Yeldon able to run for 15? Even though he's more of a pocket passer than a scrambler, I forget that he can run sometimes. We had nowhere to go. So eventually getting to 3rd downs was going to cost us, but we'll take our 3. We've literally just been able to maintain that 10-point lead for the entire second half so far. I mean, we had so much time to decide to run it there. And if we get a one-on-one look with Sweat, I might just throw it back shoulder, but I couldn't. I should have seen our tight end sooner. I was just looking at one receiver. There we go. I'm going to try it, but it's an out-of-bounds pass. And my stupidity is probably one of the reasons the offense has struggled in this game, though we did get a pick 6 for a touchdown, literally right after the bad drive, so we kind of got bailed out in that regard, and our defense kept getting stops. The scoring definitely ramped up at the end, but I don't know how Washington made it this far, because it just didn't feel like a playoff matchup, and we're playing Wyoming. To be fair to the Huskies, they do have 5 losses at this point, but this is the weirdest bracket ever. If we can beat the Cowboys though, and then play South Alabama in the championship for our rematch for our loss to them last year, that would be hilarious. I have to compare this Wyoming roster to what we have at the moment, because there's just no way they keep on winning these games, but I guess they do have an 87 overall quarterback and a lot of good players. I just don't feel like they should be in the playoffs in the first place as a 2-loss team. That would never happen in real life. I know the rest of the country was painfully average, and it does mean we have an easier matchup, but I want to feel like I've earned a championship at least, and if we get South Alabama, I'm not going to. I'm looking too far ahead though. There's a reason the Cowboys have gotten to this point. That's a great throw. And I said I was gonna hopefully rely on Miguel a little bit more, but even facing off against the Cowboys, they've been able to get in pressure really well. I might have underestimated them a little bit, but they're not getting a touchdown. And I'm trying to end this first half in the best way possible. With all the blitzes they're sending in our direction though, it's actually pretty tricky. We missed that. If we're gonna hit this field goal right here, we have got to do it perfectly. I mean, the power couldn't have been any more full than that, and it is going to bounce up. Just for clarification though, that does mean it's good. It's rare to see, but it can hit that once it's already in. My vision for a perfect ending to the first half though is not only getting a stop, but then scoring some more points. So it's time to go to work, and I don't know why they'd send a blitz right here. It's so obvious that that's exactly what they're gonna do, though I'm not sure if we're fast enough. Nope, we are. That alignment with one of the best wide receivers in the country is just setting yourself up for failure. Now stack goes to the 1, and I'm gonna chew the clock down before doing a direct halfback snap, which gets us in. I know this is gonna come as a shock, but we were able to also handle Wyoming. And it's time for the moment of truth. Who do we get in the national championship? We have faced a team that finished with 3 losses out of the Mountain West Conference, a team that finished with 5 losses out of the Big Ten. And after advancing through National Offensive Player of the Week, all of that is going to get us Notre Dame in the championship. Well, we're not getting our rematch versus South Alabama. They only lost by 8 points. But this is an independent school with 4 losses that made it this far, and they're still in 89. Just doing a little bit of comparing as well, I feel like their team's about as good as ours. The only thing that they don't have is a 97 overall quarterback. But I have planned things so strictly, brought in the right pieces to get to this moment, so we can't lose. The first 3 years of this rebuild, we signed every single key piece that I was really hoping we'd get. And there might have been a couple misses, but at the end of the day, we mainly have all the guys that are out there on the field making plays for us. The transfer portal has also set us up for success, though on 3rd and goal, we have to make sure that we get in. And you know what? It's against Notre Dame. We're going to be smart. We're going to take our 3. Even though we've been able to get this far, and we should be able to take down a team of their caliber, we've never beaten one, which is a little bit intimidating to me. On 3rd down, I mean, they're getting in within seconds. But I'm not playing passively all game. We're going for it on 4th and 1, and we come away with the ball. Right now, we are executing at the level I'm hoping we can, though this might be a tough read. I thought we would have the inside leverage right there. And it's a good thing that we can probably rely on our defense. They're throwing the seam though, and we don't get over to it. That's the difference between us and Notre Dame. But they'd only get a field goal out of that drive. Now on 3rd and 9, I mean, the pressure is just off the charts. I'm not sure if our offensive line is good enough to keep up with them. And this is after the recent update, so it's not like the computer should be screaming in as much as they have been. We get the sack though. That's led to us having a solid drive down the field and throwing this on the run. We could have caught it, which would have been a great play, but it seems like every everything I want to go our way doesn't. 3rd and 4 now. Can we finish inside the red zone this time? I'm just going to take the scramble. And there it is. D'Angelo Yeldon, the player that we got in year number 1. He had one vision. It was playing time at Kent State. It's the only reason he even chose our school, but we have built around it. And I think he should be pretty happy with how it's all played out for him. We need a 2-touchdown lead though. So I'm going to trust him on 3rd and goal. We could have probably taken the slant, but just knowing how cornerbacks play for these really good teams, I did not want to take that risk. Oh my gosh. We're not going to talk about that. It better not be the difference maker. They threw it straight to Coco, and that's the ball not lying right there. I was going to say they knew we deserved to get points on that last drive, but they are just send it. And this has really been what a lot of the games have been about. How good the defenses play. I tried to get over to that, but I couldn't. They'd eventually score their first touchdown of the day, and now we're in a 10-10 game. This is scary. Championships on the line. I'm gonna put this 98 speed wide receiver on a jet touch pass though, and I'm not sure we can afford to not get this 4th and 1, but I've gone for it anyway, and Etheridge is going to beat that man-to-man coverage. They sent so many players at us, and JJ did not care. That is actually such a clutch play. We're gonna have to step up and throw it to our best route runner, our best receiver, who just got clamped up. That is why I'm so scared of these Notre Dame corners. We're now on a 3rd and 6. We got to get them off of the field right here, and I'm waiting for a pick. Come on, throw that ball to me. And it's a good thing that neither offense has been able to do that much in this game. I think we can take our hitch. That was a very close call, but it panned out, and we should probably start chewing the clock to try and just win this one. Maybe this Kent State team wasn't as good as the overall shows, though we probably beat them deep right here unless we are able to not catch it. And I thought they might get back to it for a second. I'm so glad I saw that. JJ Etheridge is not our fast receiver though. That's why I was a little bit confused it was even open in the first place. That route is so filthy. I saw it coming. They're breaking a tackle, and all that effort that we just had to score is going to mean nothing. Well, maybe it will mean something because we have been able to get them into an interesting spot. It is 2nd and goal, and I'm very nervous right here. It doesn't take much for them to get into the end zone. We just have to hope that they throw it to us, and I can't believe we've gotten them to a 4th and goal situation. Come on, make a bad read. That is straight at Baguette. I'm not even going to try to return it. Don't go out of the end zone. What are you doing? I wasn't controlling him. I stopped using the stick. I was like pulling him back. He's made it possible to get a safety. Maybe Kent State really is cursed. They are not run committing. I was going with the pass because I was assuming the run commit was coming right there. And now we have to trust our offensive line on 3rd and inches for the championship. Come on, truck your way through. It has been marked as a 1st down. So all it's going to take is one final kneel. And we have done it with Kent State. We have won the national championship. It could be considered a little bit of a Mickey Mouse run. We had 15 easy games before this, but we had a receiver that went off to help us win. And the difference between our first 3 seasons versus these last 2 years was drastic. D'Angelo Yeldon sticking around for all those years is a big reason for that though. I think we finished on a 26 or 27 game run, and I was worried that he might transfer, but instead we put him into the NFL with a 1st round pick. And since I have so much fun filming these 5-year rebuilds, let me know in the comments what team you want to see a 5-year rebuild with next.